Hi guys, welcome back to RUE MORGUE TV. We'll get to your episode in just a sec, but first I want to let you know that RUE MORGUE Digital has a brand new home. We have a fully redesigned app, fully redesigned interface with lots of features, including a search functionality across the whole thing and integration with our blog, so you've got news and reviews as well. So check that out. That's available across all mobile platforms. I'll include a link down below and enjoy the episode. We'll see you next time.
Welcome to RUE MORGUE TV. My name's Laura Hokstad. I'm an intern here at RUE MORGUE and a tarot reader. And in this series called Tarot, we will be analyzing horror films that use tarot cards and see if they hold up. Today we will be discussing the 2016 feminist horror comedy written and directed by Anna Biller, The Love Witch. The Love Witch is a story about Elaine, a young witch who is unlucky in love. And I say that because her love spells tend to end fatally. The film itself is both a feminist critique of and a technicolor love letter to hammer horror and sexploitation movies of the 1960s and 70s. The deck used in the film is the Rider-Waite, which is a very traditional tarot card deck that is tied to the history of tarot. The imagery is very archetypal and what many other decks afterwards were based on. The Love Witch opens with Elaine, played by Samantha Robinson, driving down the West Coast after escaping the mysterious circumstances surrounding the death of her husband, Jerry. And in this opening scene, we see our first tarot card. As Elaine is opening her purse, this card falls out. And this is the Three of Swords. And this card shows up multiple times within the film. It represents heartbreak, emotional pain. The sword suit is associated with air energy, so it's all about our mind and the anxieties that we have. When I see this card come up in a tarot reading, I also see it as a warning to not dwell on past hurts. So although somebody may have literally stabbed your heart and caused you this emotional pain, it's a warning to not dwell on it. In the background of this card, we see rain clouds, but as we know, with every storm, there is a rainbow afterwards. So it's saying, don't dwell on this pain, but wait the storm out. Essentially, this card becomes her calling card. It is also representative of the trauma that she has experienced that really motivates her impulses throughout the film. Next, we meet Trish, who will become Elaine's neighbor.
You're so pretty. Oh, I didn't mean anything. I'm married and everything.
No, I didn't think anything.
And we learn that she is showing Elaine an apartment that she's about to rent that was previously owned by Barbara, who is a fellow witch.
She's into all that Wicca stuff.
As Trish is showing the apartment, she explains to Elaine that the entire apartment is based off of the Thoth Tarot deck. The Thoth Tarot deck was created by Aleister Crowley, who was a British occultist in the early 1900s. And you can see his influence throughout this film, especially during the witch coven ritual scenes. And a lot of the dialogue that we see the male coven leader spouting seems to be almost directly pulled from Aleister Crowley's writing.
For in the old times, a woman was the altar. And the sacred place was the point within the center of the circle.
The apartment is actually like a witchy magical dream. It's gorgeous. The colors are vibrant. You can really tell that Anna Biller did a ton of research when designing this film. From the color choices to the paintings in the background, all of it is really drawing from traditional tarot card imagery. And it really sets the scene for you to understand, you know, that this is a witchy place and Elaine is going to be doing some witchy stuff in there. So after seeing the apartment, Trish and Elaine go to a tea room to have some lunch. And this movie isn't horror with a capital H, but hearing how Elaine describes wanting to please a man is in its own way quite terrifying.
You said we need to give them what they want. Well, what do men want?
Just a pretty woman to love. and to take care of them, and to make them feel like a man, and to give them total freedom in whatever they want to do or be.
But what about what we want? How are we going to be equals with men if we keep catering to all of their needs?
I think that if you want love, you have to give love. Giving men sex is a way of unlocking their love potential.
Trish questions her on this approach and essentially says that she's been programmed by the patriarchy. So we really see a difference between who Elaine is and who Trish is. At this point, we also meet Trish's husband, Richard. We see an immediate attraction between Elaine and Richard, and this prompts Elaine to go home and start making some love potions. The following day, Elaine meets Wayne, who is a teacher, and they decide to go up to his cabin for a night of dinner and drinks and possibly a love spell. So Elaine attempts to seduce Wayne, and in doing so, we hear Wayne lament some very stereotypical ideas of his struggles with finding the right woman.
The women I've been with, they all want you to make a bunch of promises to them as soon as you sleep with them. But how can you commit to someone that you don't even know? It's crazy.
I know, baby. I know.
In the end, with this love spell, he kind of becomes the thing he criticizes women for most. He becomes an emotional, needy mess.
What is it, Wayne? What is it, baby?
Oh, Elaine.
After her failed attempt at a love potion, we see Elaine do a tarot card reading for herself. And she draws the following cards: the Five of Cups, the Tower, and once again, the Three of Swords. So the first card is the Five of Cups, and in this card we see a person in a black cloak looking sadly at three overturned cups. And the suit of cups often represents emotions. So when I see this card, I get the impression that this person is really dwelling on past mistakes or past failures. But what this card is not noticing is the two upright cups behind them. So implying that this person is so focused on their failures or shortcomings that they aren't open to seeing the opportunities that are right in front of them. And I really do see this card as representing Elaine in many ways. She is so focused on the failed loves that she's had and also finding that perfect true love that she really isn't A, focusing on finding that power within herself, or B, seeing the opportunities that are in front of her. The next card that comes up is the Tower card. And this card is a major arcana card. And when those cards come up, they are usually indicative of major life events. So as the minor arcana, which are the four suits, which go from ace to king, those ones are usually about the day-to-day comings and goings of life. But when we see a major arcana card, that's usually a large life-shaking event. And in Elaine's case, it is. The image is a tower being struck by lightning and people falling to their death. And of course, once again, we see at the end of the reading, the Three of Swords. This is very telling because as soon as she pulls the last card, Elaine looks up and realizes that Wayne has died. Bye, Wayne. After Elaine buries his body on his property, she returns home. We see her painting a spilled cup, an image of her holding a heart in her hand with 3 drops of blood coming from it, and in the other hand she holds a knife, and we see a man dead in front of her. So this image really encompasses everything that the last tarot card reading foreshadowed. Shortly after, Trish stops by to let Elaine know that she's off to a furniture convention and Richard will be left home alone.
Is Richard going with you?
No, it's just a business trip. Richard will have to fend for himself for a while.
Of course, Elaine immediately invites Richard over for dinner and attempts another love spell on him. And in classic Elaine fashion, it doesn't really go as planned, and Richard becomes obsessed with her. The next tarot card reading we actually see done by Richard. The first card that he draws is the Nine of Swords. And then once again we see the Three of Swords, and finally the Devil. In this tarot reading, when I see a Nine of Swords come up as the first card, I really interpret that as somebody having anxieties that are keeping them up at night. In the imagery, we see somebody sitting up in bed with all of these swords kind of hanging above their head. And again, with the sword suit being associated with air energy and our mind, it's really tied to anxieties, lack of sleep, obsession. And I really see this card ringing true for Richard as we see the failed love spell causing him to become utterly obsessed with Elaine. So the next card that comes up in Richard's tarot reading is the Three of Swords. Once again, as I said, very much Elaine's calling card. And as I said before, this card is about having that emotional hurt, that betrayal, which really does feed into how Richard is feeling because he has become utterly obsessed with Elaine, but knows that he cannot have her. The final card is the Devil card. And the Devil card is one of those major arcana cards that I mentioned earlier. So when this card comes up, it is indicative of a major life event. And in this case, I believe it is Richard's fate. So the Devil card shows a devil standing above two people, a man and a woman chained together. But you see the chains are loose, and the imagery in that is to say that we are kind of able to escape these dark thoughts, these obsessions if we wanted to, but we are choosing to stay there, which is kind of what Richard is doing. The Devil card is also about all of those shadow self things that we are taught not to indulge in. After this tarot reading, we discover that Richard has, well, consumed with grief and obsession, taken his own life. Poor Richard. Actually, no, not poor Richard. He was married to Trish, who is an amazing woman, an uber feminist, and he threw it all away for this like weird obsession with Elaine. I don't know. The rest of the film kind of descends into fantasy. I won't ruin the ending for you, but essentially Elaine is forced to confront all that she's done and given the choice to harness her own power in order to escape the fate that the Three of Swords card had predicted for her. So it's very clear that Anna Biller did her research when making this film. I will say that all of the tarot card readings throughout have been true to the card's meaning and also true to the fate of all of the characters that received those readings. It's also nice to see some arcana imagery really steeped throughout the whole movie. For example, the Sun card, which is just generally a very like happy, positive, high energy card. You can see that present in the coven marriage scene. In that scene, we see a lot of bright colors. The imagery in the scene is very close to the imagery of the Sun card. There's bright blues, bright yellows, oranges, reds. It's a very striking scene. I think it's important that the Sun card is seen in the background in that scene because it really truly is the happiest that we see Elaine in the entire movie. Writer-director Anna Biller really did her research for this film. In reading interviews with her, I found out that she actually joined a witches' coven in LA and participated in actual rituals as well. And you can tell that she does have a love and appreciation for all things tarot. I will say, though, that this film is a very narrow representation of witchcraft. We have Elaine as our main character, which is white, cis, female character, and witchcraft encompasses a lot of other folks than just that. And unfortunately, those folks are very underrepresented in film. So I would encourage you, if you know of any more diverse stories about witchcraft and tarot, please leave them in the comments below. Tarot cards are very individual and each person interprets their imagery very differently. So if you saw something that maybe I missed, please let me know because I would love to hear it.
Take care, love.
I'm Laura Hokstad, and this has been another episode of Tarot for RUE MORGUE TV. Please remember to like and subscribe this video, and if you have any ideas for future episodes, please let us know in the comments below. And tune in next time, and we can see what's in the cards. Okay, sorry. Yeah, honk break. He's something. Aleister Crowley.